Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So, proving once again that everyone who comes into Trump's orbit ends up destroyed. Cyber Ninjas is no more. You guys will remember Cyber Ninjas, the company that spent months in Arizona trying to prove that the election was stolen from Donald Trump, only to come to the conclusion that Joe Biden actually received more votes than previously reported. Well, the owner, Doug Logan, claims that his company ended up $2 million in the hole due to that Arizona fraud. But then in a recent deposition, he said that the fraud left his company $200,000 upside down. Big difference between those two numbers. Now, I'll get back to that whole discrepancy in a minute, but on top of that 200,000 or 2 million, whatever the case is, in debt, Cyber Ninjas is being fined now $50,000 a day for each day that Logan refuses to turn over documents and any communications related to this sham audit. You guys may recall, I've talked about this several times. This has been going on in court for a while. So Logan has laid off his employees and he shut down his company. But he still remains defiant about turning over these records. And like I said, you guys may recall the Arizona Republic news outlet, as well as a nonprofit group called the American Oversight, they filed complaints with the court after the Arizona Senate failed to comply with their public records request to provide, any and all records related to this failed audit. Now, the Senate turned over what they had, but there were still a lot of records that hadn't been received from Cyber Ninjas. So under threat issued by a judge, the Senate started pressuring Logan. They started saying, hey, you got to give us these documents. We're now in trouble in court because you haven't given this stuff to us. Well, Logan has come up with excuse after excuse for failing to comply. For example, he said first, there's too many documents. There are just too many to review. I don't have the time to do it, to go through and figure out what is relevant and what is not. I don't have the money to pay someone to do this for me. Now, his estimation of the records, though, has varied. It just depends on what case he seems to be trying to make and who he's trying to sell in the moment. So initially, he tried to say that there were hardly any records. When the Senate started pressing him and saying, hey, you haven't given us everything, we need the records, he was like, oh, no, there's really not anything. I mean, I basically gave you everything I had. There's hardly anything left. But then when he was pressed further and threatened with legal action, he started saying, oh, well, there's just so much. I just don't have the time to go through it all and figure it all out. And so which is it? Either there's hardly anything left. If that's the case, you must know how much there is left. If you're saying there's hardly anything I haven't given you, then it should be pretty quick and simple. And Logan was able to get a new judge appointed to this case because he alleged that the judge was biased. So this goes to a new judge, but the $50,000 a day penalty, it still stands. So it's still ongoing. So Logan has started selling off company assets. But he says, well, that money is for outstanding bills to subcontractors for the audit, not I didn't set this money aside to pay this debt. And in a deposition last week, Logan apparently became argumentative. The attorney for the Arizona Republic, it's a guy named Craig Hoffman, he said, quote, he started off very complacent and happy to answer questions, but as it went on, he became more combative. He was clearly frustrated by the end of it. In addition, Logan seemed to admit the real reason why he hasn't complied with the court's order. Hoffman, this attorney for the Arizona Republic, told the Arizona Central news outlet that during the deposition, Logan went on, quote, long soliloquies about how he doesn't think that Cyber Ninjas is required. He doesn't think it's a necessity that they turn over the rest of these documents because he doesn't believe that they're public records, that these are public documents, even though the public through the Senate paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for this audit. And this was done supposedly on the public's behalf. So yeah, and the problem for Doug here is that this has been litigated. It has been litigated over and over again. It has been appealed, and he lost that argument in court. Hence the contempt of court charge and the $50,000 a day in fines. And in addition to that $50,000 a day, Logan has also stiffed his own attorney. His attorney's name is Jack Willencheck, and Willencheck, you guys might remember, I mentioned this in another segment. He tried to get removed from the case because Logan hasn't paid him, but the court refused. So the court is essentially making him work for free. And it seems that everyone is blowing off their bills because Logan alleged in his deposition that the Arizona Senate still owes him $100,000 for the fraud. So nobody's paying anybody. And he said he's never received an explanation as to why the Senate hasn't remitted that final balance, but he's heard some plausible explanations in the media. Here's my question. What the hell happened to all of the money? People like Sidney Powell, Mike Flynn, Patrick Byrne, they were raising tons of money for this fraud. What happened to that money? If I were the people who donated, I would certainly want to know. I mean, they supposedly in total raised millions of dollars for this circus in Arizona. But according to Logan's deposition and his testimony, he said cyber ninjas paid for the election review. Like the company actually anteed up and used the company's money to pay for this review. And now he's in deep debt as a result because it wasn't all covered. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, that figure, as was seemingly so many other things he says, appears to have changed. It was 2 million in the hole. Now he's 200,000. I don't know. But in a letter to the Arizona Senate, Logan alleged that the fraud cost approximately $2 million more than what was raised in donations. He told the Senate that about $1.9 million was still owed to subcontractors that he brought in to help with the audit. But now he's claiming that, oh, no, my company paid for everything and I lost $200,000 on the venture. So which is it? It's either 200,000 or 2 million, and you either got money from donations that didn't quite cut it, or your company paid for it all. I don't understand. Maybe there's a disconnect. I'm not sure. But, you know, like I said the other day, Michael Cohen warned everyone about this. And it's like that book, you know, that book titled Everything Trump Touches Dies. And like I keep saying, woo-hoo, just another Trump train casualty. I mean, but anyway, if I hear more, when I hear more, I will let you guys know. I just thought you might find that interesting. All right. Take care, guys. I'll talk with you soon.